At times, conversing about the history of mankind is exasperating. The damage human did to the earth is unconscionable. An excerpt from page 45 of Four Horsemen of the Great Metropolis by Stephen E. Thress.
Welcome to P English Literature, a YouTube channel that conveys Amazon, Goodread, blog, and video book reviews coupled with interviews with authors. It's a perfect channel for book lovers, authors, and writers generally. P English Literature, the exact channel for you and me.
Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel and to the review of Four Horsemen of the Great Metropolis by Stephen E. Thress. This is my first video book review in the year 2022, and Stephen E. Thress' novel is absolutely wholesome. I love some facts that were expounded in the book. It is philosophical to some extent. It is intuitional. It has some sort of notion to pass on, to communicate to lovers of fiction. And I appreciate the fact that some techniques expounded in the novel aims to communicate, the preservation of the ecosystem, the situation surrounding our atmosphere. Some of the facts that were expounded in the book seems to communicate on the role that human being plays towards environmental pollution, water pollution, air pollution, and some other things encapsulated in it. But before I talk about this book, I'd love to read to you the synopsis. I'll be reading directly to you the synopsis that I found on the books page in Amazon, which I have here. So I'll be reading that to you before I read about the author and give you a little bit of my review on the book. My review of the book is actually going to be a spoiler free. I'm not going to talk about everything in entirety. I'm just going to be showcasing some of the facts that I found very intriguing about the book and some of the things that I find counteracting my intuition, because the book is actually contemplative. Just like a review I left of it on Amazon, I said it is enthralling, it is contemplative from the perspective of a literary critic. So I'm going to be reading to you the synopsis. A revolution to symbolize a vision, the great metropolis aims to become the largest united front with a meaningful purpose to tackle some of the biggest ordeal humanity faces today. My vision, that's the author speaking here, was born from an intuitive perception of insight into the reality of something yet to come, an experience to share with the world. The Four Horsemen of the Great Metropolis is derived from an epiphany, an apocalyptic dream summarizing the end of time. It is a preconceived notion that the apocalypse is something bad. In biblical account, revelation are the end of something old and the beginning of a new, more vibrant future. A foretold prospect of heaven and earth. By explaining the concept, a pre-planned guideline will appear on how to save earth and humanity from self-destruction. And that's one of the facts that I find absolutely intriguing about this book. That's one of the notions that kept me enthralled until I finished indulging my relatable emotion in the book. Because while I was reading through it, some of the facts that are expounded in the book are something that we human beings baffles with today. Talk about the political instability, talk about the issue with health sector, talk about education, talk about the ocean, talk about the atmosphere, talk about the ozone layer, talk about everything that makes our ecosystem and that makes us human beings. From one of the perception or one of the concepts that I would love to say about this book is the fact that we human beings have some significant role that we've played towards the problem that surround our ecosystem today. Some of our action or some of our day-to-day activities has a sudden effect on our planet, has a critical effect on our planet, and that's one of the things I think the author of this book seems to communicate in Four Horsemen of the Great Metropolis. So before I talk about the book, I'd love to read to you about the author that was inscribed at one of the front pages of the book. Stephen Thress currently lives in California with his wife of almost 20 years, Linda. Since retiring from Kansas Permeate, he strived to improve his golf game. As a medical professional, he loved his chosen career, he met many great people and learned a tremendous amount. Stephen joined the UXAF after graduation and served much of the time based in Southern California. Born in Columbus, Ohio on June 5, 1951, he has a brother, older sister, and two younger siblings. The family moved to Zenville, Ohio, when Stephen was 2. After being discharged, he migrated to California, where he loves the weather and moderate climate. The other part of the autobiography, is a look into why he wrote this book, which I would skip or wouldn't love to talk about that. This book actually detailed the life of the protagonist, Eugene, who had an epiphany to build the four horsemen of the great metropolis. Eugene's dream of building this great metropolis actually started like a child's play, but I was quite intrigued with the fact that he had supportive families and friends who supported him in building and realizing this dream. So it actually started like a child's play until he began to get himself engulfed in it, began to perform some more research, created a website for it so people can start engaging. And the turnout, the reaction of the people was beyond expectation, and he began to fall in love with it. He began to see that, oh yeah, this dream is gradually coming to reality. And it developed intense likeness to the way with which people received it. The aim of its metropolis was actually to bring unity to the world. Its aim at bringing peace to the world, to restore peace, and to make us all live in a sort of world we want, to eradicate racism, so that we can all have a sort of a blessed life. Initially, Eugene's wife, that's Samantha, often have a sort of a bad notion. She's a little bit indoctrinated into the Christianity because there's some point that was expounded in the book that has to do with Christian issue, which I would talk about later on. His wife, Samantha, who actually have a sort of a bad notion, an indoctrinated notion towards Eugene building this great metropolis. But her perception began to change when she began to realize how much this great metropolis is going to impact the world, how much is going to create positive impact into the world, and how much is going to benefit everyone all over the world. Then she began to embrace the concept and begin to work hand in hand with her husband. Eugene's dream towards the realization of this great metropolis started or began or was influenced, let me use the word influenced, when he met a man, Scott, who actually spoke with him and were able to discuss. The afterword of the conversation led to, Scott refine Eugene to his billionaire friend so that they can work together to make extreme a reality. One of the objectives of this great metropolis and the aspect with which it's going to work, according to what I read in the book, is that some section will oversee the rampaging of religion crisis and the administration of agriculture and education and the stabilization of the world politics, which is in a state of chaos today, and also in the purification of the atmosphere. So with this, in my perception, the aim and the objective that this great metropolis seems to communicate or influence the world with is those aspects that we baffles with. It's those aspects that the world lacks inequality. It's those aspects that the world suffer great disasters and all those sort of issues that seek to bring problem in the world today. Sorry, this is not a spoiler review. This is a spoiler-free review. But I would love to make reference towards the end part of the book, whereby even though this great metropolis aim at impacting the world, aim at bringing peace to the world, aim at solving a problem that our world seems, shackled with today, and despite the fact that it also aimed towards the eradication of racism, etc., name it, whatsoever makes the world difficult for humanity to live in. Despite the fact that this book, or Eugene's idea towards the building of great metropolis, aim at impacting the world, there is still some people that were against the actualization of this great metropolis. And when I read through this point, I was like, Wow, can you imagine? And this part made me resonate on the inherited psychology of the human sense. And because, most people or most human have this notion of goodwill, then we also have some people who have notion of bad will, that whatsoever they're thinking about in their life, it's always negative, negative, negative. Okay, that's about that. So the story kept unfolding, and it was unfolding in a dynamic manner. Eugene was invited on a particular stage. He delivered a speech, and afterward, there's a kind of a rivalry, there's a kind of an attack from these people. They were actually protesting against the actualization of the great metropolis. I don't want to talk about everything in entirety. I want to make the review as spoiler free as possible as I can, because I don't like giving too much information in my reviews. Why this book made for an interesting read, while I find it engulfing, while I find it absorbing and absolutely fascinating, I would love to say that there is also some point that I find counteracting my intuition. There's some notion there that I expounded in the book that I said, oh no, I'm not gonna agree with it. And that's found in page 261. There's actually a write-up before this, but I'd love to particularly read this quote that got me, contemplating. I said, oh no, I'm not going to agree with this. I'm not going to go with this point. The quote reads that our society is stagnating because of the false belief in an almighty God who controls everything and everyone. Well, I don't know if this quote is actually intentional from the author, or is a kind of a literary style that aim at, fictitiously creating contemplation in the heart of the reader. I don't know. But whatever case it would be, I disagree with this point. And this is not the only point that I disagree with. There's some religious biblical concepts that were expounded in the book that I underlined, and I was looking forward to having a conversation with the author if I eventually have an interview with him on this channel. And I would love to ask him, Mr. Stephen, tell us about this. What's your opinion about this? Why do you wrote this? I jotted some questions at the back page of the book, close to 10 questions, that was like, I'm gonna ask the author about this. I'm not gonna agree with this. This is actually my perception about this particular quote. You might find it loving if you eventually love to pick it up. Apart from the fact that this particular quote picked my intuitional argument, I'd love to state that this book is engagingly intriguing. It is written in the first person point of view, and the writing style and the characterization and plot twists is absolutely amazing, and it truly makes for an interesting read. I also love the author's storytelling techniques, and I love the fact that some of the story were told based on the conversation that exists between one character and the other. And one of my most admirable characters in this novel is Samantha, like Kelvin, like Eugene himself, and other people. Moreover, this book is vast into environment issue, like I said earlier on. It has a tone that I think it's somewhat related to the ecosystem. That's something that we human beings will find so fantastic, will find absolutely intriguing. It is vastly researched in the theme of biological issues, and there's something that I wasn't so much familiar with, which I learned in, and that's the author's idea on aquaponics, which I'm not too much familiar with. I also love his idea about ocean acidification, the pollution of the environment, how we human beings, play a pivotal role towards the pollution of the atmosphere, be it in form of air pollution, water pollution, land pollution, and the consequence attached to it. Among every other theme, it is absolutely centered on the issue and the problem that humanity faces today. There is something born in this book that would enlighten the reader, that some people find power in, that some people find fact, reality in. And some facts that were expounded on this book stylishly resonate with Michael Schellenberger's Apocalypse Never, while environmental alarmist authors all. I've been a fan of Michael's work, and I've been watching his speech on YouTube for some times now, and I love his novel while I read it, and I found some of the points that were expounded in his novel stylishly resonating with that Stephen E. Riggs expound or spoke about in this novel too. However, if the great metropolis will ever exist, if it's something that is beyond fiction, something that is beyond imagination, if it's really gonna exist in real life, then I think it's gonna be a nice invention. I think it's gonna be a fantastic invention that would save humanity and save the world at large. So if it's ever gonna be possible, I'm an added supporter of this great metropolis. This book, it's absolutely, introspective and it's contemplative, and you might find some point expounded in the book that a little bit waver or different from what you believe. And I think that itself make an interesting, because I love reading books that keep me thinking long after I've read it. So this is my first time engaging or getting to read Stephen E. Thress' work, and I'm so short of words, and I look forward to reading more of this author's future work. His use of word is amazing, his storytelling techniques is absolutely fascinating, and I solely recommend this book. And this is the kind of book that I think will not only pique the interest of people in a particular genre. In my perception, it's a kind of book that I think lovers of literature generally would love to read. I solely recommend it, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 star review. It is something that truly piqued my interest, and it is something that I really found very captivating. And again, I love the dimension of the book and the cover. So this is where I'm gonna be stopping my review of Great Metropolis by Stephen E. Thress. I don't want to spoil it, I don't want to talk too much about it. I just want to give you a short video book recommendation, spoiler free, so you can have an idea of what this book is really all about. If you'd like to get a copy of this book, I left a link in the description part of this video for you to get a copy directly on Amazon. And if you watch this video to this point and you're yet to click on the subscribe button, I want to urge you to please click on the subscribe button over there. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you can get notified anytime I release a new video. Thank you very much for watching my video book review of Horsemen of the Great Metropolis by Stephen E. Thress. It is absolutely fascinating, it is absorbingly intriguing, and it's a book that I think that will keep thinking over and over again. Thank you very much. See you in my next video.